Hello, my friends, and welcome to episode number 3 of There Is No Spoon podcast. My name is Steven, and I'm a transformative life coach. Join me for a bite-sized, deep dive exploration into how our minds work and a no-techniques approach to reconnect with our innate well-being and our true nature. In this episode, we're going to talk about the F word. That's right, this one is all about your feelings. I'm going out on a limb here and guessing that one of the primary reasons you're here, besides the jokes, is to feel better. That's one of the more encompassing reasons for anyone to get engaged in any form of personal development or go on a spiritual quest. So we'll be pondering the origin of all of our personal feelings, because without a solid understanding of where they come from, it's challenging to really know what they mean and what we should do about them. Now, I've titled this episode Adult Teddy Bears. Now, I didn't mean for it to be a clickbait, so hopefully you didn't come here thinking it was going to be a discussion about one of those furry fetishes where consenting adults dress up as animals and do consenting adults things to each other. Maybe I should include some links for that type of interest in the show notes. But just to be clear, I would have to research that information. I don't know those websites off the top of my head, and they definitely don't autofill on my browser. Actually, this is just my 3rd episode, so I don't even know about show notes, so don't go looking for them there. But I digress. Instead, adult teddy bears is just a reference to a brilliant metaphor that I'm borrowing from one of my mentors, Clarity Coach founder Jamie Smart, which I believe gives us a real-world sense of where our feelings come from, and especially where they don't. It goes like this. Most all of us have had some experience with toddlers, our own or others within your extended family. Now, you know that most kids have a teddy bear or a stuffed animal or a binky or a blanket or whatever. And they attribute a great deal of power to this item. They see it as the source of them feeling good, feeling safe and secure, that all is right in the world. And the absence of said teddy bear to be the source of great anxiety for them and also sometimes for their parents, especially if it's nowhere to be found right before leaving on a big vacation. Now, as intelligent grown-ups, we know that the toddler is innocently mistaken in believing that the stuffed animal is somehow magical, that it has some metaphysical power to create internal feelings in human beings. It's just stuffing after all. We know that 100% of the good feelings that he or she is attributing to the teddy bear is actually coming from inside the child themselves, and that 0% is coming from the inanimate object, right? That much seems pretty clear. Now, this is just an innocent misinterpretation of the origin of feelings, and it's not that much of a problem per se with young children. They'll usually come to some sense of this truth. They'll grow out of it on their own. If they don't by a certain age, then this misunderstanding might begin to be problematic. However, I'm going to suggest that this misunderstanding is still quite prevalent in regards to adult teddy bears. Whatever do I mean? Could I provide some examples? I'm glad you asked, and I certainly can. How about your partner? Or your boss, or your bank balance, your health, your reputation, your past, or your anticipated future? Am I being so audacious as to suggest that none of these people or circumstances has the power to create a feeling within you? Yep, indeed, I'm being that audacious. But I do get it. I mean, it sure as hell looks that way, doesn't it? It looks like your partner's behavior is making you upset, or that he or she is making you feel loved. It looks like your boss is making you feel insignificant, or that your surplus bank balance is making you feel secure. It sure looks like waiting on the results of your medical test is making you feel anxious, or that the negative rumors about you are making you depressed. It looks like the past successes are making you feel confident today, or perhaps your anticipation about some potential future event is making you feel nervous. I know that it looks like all these examples have the power to generate feelings within us, both the good feelings and the bad ones. But I am putting forth the idea that they're all just adult teddy bears. Consider this. For a long, long time, the smartest people in the world believed that the sun and everything else in the universe revolved around the Earth. They believed in a geocentric universe. Why? Because from every perspective available to them at that time, it damn well looked like it. But it never was that way, not even for one day. So we're back to that same 100%, 0% ratio. Now, when these smart people were able to gain a new perspective, they gained a more truthful understanding of how things worked. Now, I'm going to invite you to ponder that for a moment. As a transformative coach, I'm hesitant to give directives, and please feel free to punch me in the throat if I ever slip and start to give advice. But I will throw out a select few suggestions, and the most common one is to ponder. As a side note, I truly adore the verb to ponder. To me, it's quite a bit different than ordinary thinking about something. I like to go over yonder and ponder. Pondering to me involves getting quiet, inviting an idea that presents like a problem over for some tea, settling in with it, getting a feel for it, a little Netflix and chill, if you will. Now, this is not an intellectual assault on an idea. Personally, I was trained academically through graduate schools in an intellectual mode of analysis, philosophies of the content and structure of a given issue, blah, blah, blah. And what I came to realize is that the intellect can indeed be a friend. I mean, it's responsible for most every cool thing that humans have ever invented, but it can quickly act like a foe as well. This finally hit me a few years back when I'd been obsessing over a problem for weeks. It occurred to me that I was approaching the idea like a grazing cow. I'd take in an idea, I would chew on it, I'd partially digest it, and then I would throw it back up into my mouth and chew the cud of the idea repeatedly over and over again. Rumination. Obsessive rumination. So instead of being a cow, I suggest that we simply ponder. And here's another example from Jamie Smart that is quite ponderable. What's often considered to be one of the most stressful jobs in the world, not the most dangerous, but the most mentally stressful, besides being a parent? The most common answer is an air traffic controller. But here's the interesting thing. When they perform surveys on large populations of this profession, about 15% of the people in that profession report that they don't find their job stressful at all. Some even say they consider it to be a rather zen-like experience. So what do you make of that? Are they all psychos, these 15%? It's possible. But I'd say it's more likely that all situations, are inherently neutral by nature, and then we humans have thoughts about them, which in turn generate feelings. So here's the key. All feelings are the product of thought in the moment. We experience our thinking. We do not experiencing the external world. So all feelings, good ones, bad ones, stressful ones, orgasmic ones, are the product of thought. And you are only ever experiencing thought-generated feelings. As an example, let's say you have a public speaking engagement next month. If you're feeling anxious, which is quite common, it seems as though it's because of that future event. However, that's not why you're feeling that way. It's not about the upcoming event. It's because you're having anxious thoughts. And those feelings you're having aren't telling you anything about you or the event. Do you think I'm talking out of my ass here? I'm accused of such behavior on an almost daily basis, but hear me out. Consider just how absurd it sounds when we break it down. The idea that a future event somehow causes a present moment feeling. Here you are in the present moment, and there is the possibility of you giving a presentation in a few weeks' time. There's no guarantee that it will happen, of course, because nobody really knows the future for sure, but it is on the calendar. So for this to work, the potential event would need to be a thing, which it's not, at least not yet, that would somehow have to travel back in time to the present day, and then inhabit your body, and subsequently generate the feelings of anxiousness. Now, come on, that is some crazy sci-fi shit right there. Okay, let's huddle up and bring this thing to a close. The major point to ponder, if you choose to accept this mission, is that we experience our thinking, not the external world. Our thoughts are generating our feelings moment to moment to moment. Now, this is great news, by the way, and I can attest to the freedom that is right there at your fingertips when you gain a broader perspective of how things actually work. In the next episode, we'll explore why even though your feelings are only generated by thoughts, they still give you valuable information that can pave the way for insightful understanding. Until next time, keep in mind, there is no spoon. It's not spoons that bend, it's you. Be swell and stay bendy, my friends.